So with everything that you said that's happened with your injury, what parts of your job do you feel that you're unable to do now because of the injury?
Well, like I said, I'm a professor, so I do a lot of grading paper. Actually, my right arm is my dominant arm, so writing, grading has been really difficult, as well as like responding to emails from my colleagues and my students has been difficult. I actually use talk to text a lot. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I am. I'm a fan of that as well.
Yeah, it makes some errors, but I've been using it a lot lately, so that helps.
So now do you want to tell me about how the injury has affected outside of work? So maybe things about your responsibilities at home or your daily routine?
Well, I have a daughter, and she has a child as well, so just my role as a mom and as a grandma has been affected, as well as my role as a wife and married. Let's see, my routine. So in the morning, I love to have a couple, 12 cups of coffee, and so usually I'll bring like 3 or 4 termoses to school, but now I can only carry one.
Oh, so that's difficult.
Yeah, that's been an issue for me because I need my caffeine. But let's see, and then I come to work, or I would go to work from like 9 to 5, do all of my grading, all of my teaching my classes and stuff, and then I get home. My husband and I like to go for a walk at night. So all that's kind of been affected in some way.
Okay, so I'm going to talk to you now about what your life is like outside of work and because of your injury. So a question that I have for you is to tell me a little bit more about what you do in the evenings or maybe on the weekends for fun.
So like I said, I go for walks with my husband. I also usually would cook dinner for my family, but that's been pretty challenging lately, so my husband's been doing a lot of that. On the weekends, let's see, I just like to hang out with my friends. I like being outdoors. I like dancing.
Dancing, okay. So now I want you to tell me a little bit about your job before you were injured. So you're a professor and you enjoy that occupation. What else do you do with that job?
Like throughout the day?
Yeah, sure. Like what's your typical day like as a professor?
Well, I usually teach classes in the mornings, and then we'll have meetings over lunch, or I'll just eat with my colleagues. In the afternoon, I would typically teach more classes, or sometimes if I have the afternoon off, I would grade papers. My students have a lot of projects, so I'll go through those as well. I'm always answering emails, taking calls. Yeah, that's a lot of that.
Okay. Do you mind me asking how you chose this job? You seem very passionate about it. I'd like to know a little bit more about why you chose this profession.
Well, I actually started out just as a therapist, and then I eventually moved into the field of education because I just love teaching so much. I love my students, and I don't know, this is where I found my passion.
Okay, that's great. So I'm just going to make note of how much you light up as we talk about your job, because that's very important for me to focus on. We've discussed your current job, so now I'm going to ask you, what other jobs have you had in the last 5 years?
I used to work, like I said, I used to just work as a therapist at a mental health facility, and then like I said, I moved into education after that, but that was something I also really enjoyed. I love working with that population.
That sounds wonderful. So how does your family and your friends feel about your injury and being out of work currently?
Well, my husband feels a lot of guilt because we went on that trip together, and obviously it didn't go as planned, so that's affected our relationship a little bit, but he's loved having me home more, but again, he wants me to return because it's something that I love doing, so I think he's been very supportive about getting me back to work, and also he's provided a lot of advice to me, things like just to take it easy at first and transition in slowly.
And the final question that I have for you, just as an overall question, if you couldn't do your present job, are there any other jobs that you could see yourself doing?
Well, like I said, I love my current job. If I couldn't do this anymore, I would probably just go back to what I've done in the past, back working with the mental health population, because that's something I'm very passionate about, but it wouldn't involve the more fine motor tasks that I'm doing now, maybe. It would still involve some typing, writing, and stuff like that, but maybe not the extent that I'm doing now. So I would probably think about considering going back to that.
All right, great.